So now I'm going to get on to what I really came here to talk to you about is forgiveness. As I told you, the greatest day in my life was when I forgave the man for killing my father. It was something I thought that would never was possible to do. But the joy after that was so good till I began to go back in my life and see who all I had to forgive. In fact, I was feeling so good, I would call up somebody and say, hey, man, did you ever do anything to me when we were coming up? And they said, wow, what you talking about? I said, well, I forgive you. Forgive you what? I'm saying, in case you ever did anything to me, I'm forgiving you. So what happened, I went back when I was a kid coming up, and I remember when I was in the 3rd grade, Mr. Fowler, my teacher, slapped me. Now, here I am in my 40s, and I had to realize that I had never forgiven Mr. Fowler for slapping me. Mr. Fowler dead and gone. I haven't seen him since that time. But what's happening that day, back in those days, the nurses would come out in the big vans, and they would line up all the kids, and you had to go out and get that polio shot. Oh, and I was so afraid of needles. So I'm standing in line just throwing a tantrum, crying. Why do I have to take it? I already got polio, you see, and I'm a polio victim already, so why do I need it? And he slapped me. Now, out of frustration, but I carried that for all those years. So when I thought about it, I had to laugh. I said, you know, I never forgave Mr. Fowler for that. So I forgave Mr. Fowler. Then the next person I thought about was Johnny Anderson. Johnny Anderson was a bully in my school. Johnny tripped me one day, and as I lay on the ground crying, Johnny laughed at me. And the last thing I remember, it was so vivid, and I would never forget it, was fresh in my mind at 45, how he stood over me, and I was looking up in his face. It was clear. So I just said, oh, forgive Johnny. Let that go. So I began to let that go. And I began to let a whole lot of stuff go. Things that I had forgotten about. Aunts who had disciplined me. I wanted some pie at church once, some potato pie. And instead of giving me the pie, my aunt say, you must say please. I don't know, I was 8 or 9 years old, but I had carried that all my life, you know. But she was right. It was a little thing, but I kept it. So then I had to realize to forgive her for that. So my life began to change. And let me give you a little bit about the story, how that forgiveness came about. I don't want to leave you in the dark on